What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and today we're going to talk about The Old Guard. I'm revisiting this. This is a second look. I've already seen the film before, but I wanted to rewatch it again before watching The Old Guard 2. Folie à deux. Basically going to call every sequel from now on Folie à deux. So click like, share, subscribe, hit that notification bell. I know you're feeling a little, iffy about it because you're like, we just met. Do I want to subscribe? Think about it hard. And it's just a sub. That's all it is at the end of the day. I'm not asking you to give me, your firstborn or $200 or anything like that. Just click a button. It's pretty simple. Other critics claim to go into things blind. I literally went into things blind. Saw this movie a second time. Still went into it blind. So I'm just going to do that all the time. This movie does have audio description. It's International Digital Center, written by Dakota Green and narrated by Bill Larson. And I'm going to go ahead and spoil something for you because it's pretty cool. So the movies, Old Guard and Old Guard 2, are done by two different companies, but this company that did the sequel hired the same narrator. So for continuity purposes, Old Guard 2 is also narrated by Bill Larson. So that's super nice. Just like the continuity that just bleeds over. I like when we do that. It's so weird when you have like different narrators across things, but if you can get the same guy to do the thing, it makes it nice when you want to binge watch the series. So kudos. But they started with the hiring of Bill, who's been on a whole bunch of things like Cobra Kai. Dakota's written a ton of things. I love her work. So needless to say, the audio description on here is fantastic. I mean, IDC usually does great work. I have no complaints. The action here is tight. It's directed by Gina Prince Blythewood, who gave us this girl's got range. She's all over the place. We got like the Woman King and Love and Basketball in the same resume. So she knows how to direct movies. She can direct action sequences, but she can also direct just sort of quiet little romances, Beyond Lights. It's also on her resume. So very talented director. Love her stuff. And I think The Old Guard benefits from having her at the director's chair. I think this is what Netflix does well, is if you attract talent and put the talent first, a lot of times your films will come out on top. So that's what we did here. And that's why The Old Guard works on some level, which is why they made a sequel. I don't know why they made a sequel 5 years later. I feel like you're really, really hoping that people still love The Old Guard. I think that's one of the things that maybe the studios do better, is that they're able to jump on the sequel bandwagon a little bit quicker. At best, we should have had to wait like 2023, maybe. Like this whole thing where we wait forever for sequels, it just feels weird for certain movies. Like we waited way too long for an Accountant sequel. Like that was just odd. I don't think The Accountant had the same sort of popularity behind it when 2 released. So you gotta strike while the iron's hot, and I don't, does it? Luckily, The Old Guard is good, so if you want to watch The Old Guard, I could have, in March, I wanted to prove that there were 31 good movies on Netflix, so I reviewed a whole bunch of Netflix movies I had already seen. And I didn't review The Old Guard because I knew there was a sequel coming out this year, and I wanted to review the original around the time that the sequel was coming out. So I think it's best if you haven't seen The Old Guard and have no idea what it is. It's based on a comic book. If you can go into it cold, because honestly, the film is shot in a way where it doesn't overplay its premise right away. So there's a scene that works really well because you don't know everything. There's a scene where they haven't quite tipped their hat yet, and then they do, and it's a brutal action sequence, and just described really well with the whole team getting shot up and then just sitting there on the floor, dead, bleeding out, like just in a pile, bullet holes riddling their faces and stuff, and then they slowly start to heal, and you're like, oh my god, it's Wolverine. Yeah, so the old guard are immortals, which, explains the existence for this movie. And they have traversed time and fought in different battles and wars, and Chiwetel Ejiofor plays the tangential CIA operative. I don't know what he works for, because he specifically says he doesn't work with the CIA, because he's like British, and they're like, well, don't American CIA ops usually have Americans? And he's like, yeah, but so why don't you work with the agency anymore? I don't know. I couldn't figure out whether he worked with the agency or not after the confusing conversation they had about working with I was like, where does he work? He seems to be somebody that the agency calls, when they can't handle something, and then he gets it handled. So, he calls on Theron's character of mercenaries to rescue the school children. It ends up being a trap set up to kill them, but they all live. But they got camera footage of it, because Ejiofor's been tracking them throughout history and has found all these photos of them throughout history, and realizes that these people have been alive at least since the 1800s, when photographs started coming through. He's not really sure how far back. As the series progresses, he becomes more of like a historian into how far back things have gone. But we're led by Andy, who's Theron's character, and Matthias Schoenaerts, sort of like her wingman, right-hand man, sometimes boyfriend. There's a little bit of backstory regarding a character who's going to come into play later. Like, there was another immortal that ended up sort of lost to the sea. Because the thing is, they live forever, but sometimes that's not a good thing. Like, imagine if you just got put into a box and dropped to the bottom of the ocean forever. Like, so that's what I like about the old guard, is it plays with that, because sometimes with immortality, it's like, well, they're badasses who can't be touched. Not really. Half this film is about how they can be touched and they can be damaged. It's just they heal from it. So you can tase them and they feel the tase and they get temporarily wounded by it or whatever, and then they just heal from it. So they can there's a guy that wants to use these guys for medical treatment. He wants to tap into their immortality DNA. I don't know. And he kidnaps some of them, and then it's up to, mainly because, well, I don't want to spoil all of the film, but I feel like it's important to talk about them being immortals, even though it's not revealed at the top of the film, because it's literally what the whole series is about. So trying to dodge that the whole time is really hard. Like, and also describe what the old guard is about. There's some mercenaries, some stuff happens, and they're out for revenge. It just sounds really basic. But if you know that they're immortals, then it just makes way more sense. There's also a new immortal is awakened, finds out she's immortal when she dies, but then doesn't die. And it's this character played by Kiki who, survives, whatever. And then she ends up having to sort of separate from, so she doesn't become a science project. Andy goes and rescues her. And hits her with the hard truth of, you're an immortal. Let's jump out of this helicopter. So, yeah, so it's also doing that sort of like training day thing. But the fun part about it is, that training day aspect where you got like a rookie day one, which works for a lot of movies and TV shows because you get to introduce us to the world and explain everything. It comes into play later. Like, the movie's already started to get going. We already sort of understand where we're headed, and then we pick her up. So what it does is it gives color and context, but it doesn't drive the film. Her character, Kiki Lane's character, doesn't drive the film. It's not like first day on the job and then she's the lead. No, it's still Charlize's film. And she's just she has a new uh, person to mentor and to teach to be one of the immortals on her crew. So, yeah, I liked The Old Guard. Even the second time around, I thought it was a fun movie. And I liked it the first time. I liked it the second time. Is it like great cinema? Does it deserve like Academy Award? I don't know, man. It feels like a summer popcorn movie. It feels like Atomic Blonde. You know what I'm saying? Like, it feels like something that we can just like and be like, well, that was cool. That was stylish. It was smart mostly. It's basically 2 hours if you don't watch the credits. So it's like slightly over 2 hours, but if you don't watch the credits, it's 2 hours. Um, and yeah, it's just, it's entertaining. It supports Charlize as the lead. It does have a mid-credit sequence, which is why the Old Guard 2 feels natural, because there's like a little, well, I should say post-credit sequence. It's not mid. But there's a little thing that tags that they absolutely do pick up in the Old Guard 2. And it's a huge setup thing. So they were trying to build a franchise here. I don't know why it was taking them so long to build a franchise. That's one of the things about Netflix that's so frustrating, is that when it sometimes they'll let things last forever. They'll be like, well, it takes however long it takes for us to get the sequel out. But then when it comes to like Glow, like the new season of Glow, the final season of Glow, they had to cancel that because they were like, oh, I don't know, it's gonna take too long to come out. I think about all these other things that they've made since then, and I just really, really hate Netflix for that decision, because it's so asinine when you look at all of the other decisions that they make. It's like, how long do we wait in between Stranger Things seasons? How long do we wait for the Old Guard 2? Like, it's just, I think they know their audiences are patient and will come back. So anyway, moving off of that slight shade, I'm always going to be bitter that Glow never had a final season. And they were in the middle of shooting it. And they actually had footage. There's a full episode completed that we'll never see. They stopped filming because of the pandemic. But, so, The Old Guard. Excellent audio description, fun fighting and action sequences. Charlize feels like she's at the top of her game here. I don't really need the rest of the Immortals, but they're fine. Chiwetel plays a nice sort of like misguided bad guy, like who can be redeemed, just starts thinking about things, and it doesn't see like the human aspect of these Immortals, and gets roped into this whole other bullshit. So some fun action sequences, brutal, bloody, good time. So I recommend The Old Guard. I'm gonna give it a B+. So if you haven't seen The Old Guard yet, watch it before you see The Old Guard 2. Just watch it in general, because spoiler alert, it's better. I'm gonna review the other one. Anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for subscribing, and I will see you guys on the other side.